From about 1993 to 2010, off the west coast of the United States, we've seen about 0 sea level rise or even negative sea level rise, so sea level was falling during that time period. But since about 2010, 2011, we've seen this really rapid increase in sea level off the US west coast. We're seeing this recovery back towards the global mean. And if this continues to increase, then you would expect to start to see sea level impacts associated with this increase. Increased coastal erosion, increased high tide flooding, these kinds of things as sea level continues to increase. So there's a number of things happening. One is there's this background increase in sea level associated with global warming, thermal expansion, and the melting of ice, which is impacting sea level along the west coast. That's causing this long-term increase. But on top of that increase, there's this oscillation that occurs, and actually a number of oscillations. So the Pacific Decadal Oscillation is one of those. The El Nino Southern Oscillation is another. The Pacific Decadal Oscillation is a large-scale climate signal centered in the Pacific Ocean. Every 10 years, we see this shift in the sea level between what we see in the Western Pacific and what we see in the Eastern Pacific. And these oscillations suppress or elevate sea level over different time periods and really either exacerbate or diminish the effects of that long-term sea level. Since about 2010, 2011, we've been seeing this shift in that decadal variability associated with the Pacific Decadal Oscillation. And what that's doing is causing sea level along the west coast of the US to go up. So really high rates of sea level causing sea level to shift very dramatically, and this increase that we've been seeing in the satellite records and also in some of the tide gauge records along the US coast as well. Sea level is going to change, and how it's going to impact the coast I think is really important, so we can inform people, they can make good decisions for their future, and we can start to adapt and adjust our way of living in order to account for these effects that are going to occur in the future.